And by the way, while you're thinking about it, consider this. There's always a tell. Like in gambling, when professional poker players go up against each other, one of the ways they beat one another is not just simply the luck of whatever's in the deck. They recognize a tell, whether or not the person they're playing against really has a good hand or is bluffing. There's something they do that gives it away. And before you write off my theory today as just, Pastor Marty, you're out of your depth on this one, I want you to consider this. The lying legacy corporate corrupt mainstream media is all of a sudden doing real journalism on this. CBS is leading the charge. They're getting confrontational with the Black Shirley Temple press secretary in the daily press briefings. She's getting upset with CBS. ABC is in on it, and today, Don Lemon at CNN pushed back on Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, going, come on. The media has been given the green light by the powers that be. Do not cover for Joe on this. All of a sudden, these files, and there's more, I promise you there's more, and they're going to start magically appearing. You couple this with Hunter Biden. They covered for Joe on Hunter Biden during the 2020 election cycle because they didn't want it to become a deciding factor against Joe. These files were turned over, and the DOJ was notified 4 days before the midterm elections. We're just finding out about it, quote, now. The Democrats were protecting their own during election cycles, but now Joe's got to go, and the media has been told, don't hold back, get him. Bump, ba-dum, bump. Well, this really is the end of the Joe Biden administration. And no, it's not hyperbole. I'm not kidding. I want you to hear this out. I was having a conversation last night with actually one of my church members, and we were having it as an online conversation through messaging. And I know that some of you are kind of frustrated, like, Pastor Marty, why do you and some of the other conservative guys keep covering this thing with Joe Biden and these classified files? Nothing is going to come of this. Everything in Washington, D.C. is double standard. It's hypocrisy. They're going after Trump. They're going to give Joe Biden a pass on this. Why are you still covering it? What's the point? And some people are saying, look, about the only thing this will accomplish is, Joe Biden isn't going to face any consequences for it. But what might happen is that a strong enough case can be made by the Republicans to say, hey, if we're going to give old Joe a pass, you got to give Donald Trump a pass. And what's frustrating about that is Donald Trump doesn't need to be given, quote unquote, a pass. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't break the law. Remember, this doesn't get talked about when they keep talking about these differences between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And I will say it again, and this will make the 1,000th time I've said it. As a sitting president, Donald Trump had the authority to classify or declassify anything he chose. So taking those documents to Mar-a-Lago, and let's not forget that just days before this raid happened at Mar-a-Lago, the Trump attorneys were in conversation with the federal attorneys. The feds knew that Donald Trump had all of these files. They knew it. And they told the Trump attorneys, listen, just make sure they're in a room that's locked and only the president has access to. And they were in compliance with that. Secret Service was guarding those files. There was no there. But, in come the FBI, like stormtroopers, and that made for the big headlines, and it made for, all of the video clips on the news of all of the police cars and FBI agents crawling all over Mar-a-Lago, and it just caused the left to have, premature ejaculation that we got him now, we got him now. Let's not forget and they try to talk about, well, Trump had hundreds of files and blah 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 blah, and Joe Biden only has like 20 that we know of. That we know of. How many got destroyed? That's one thing. That's number one. Number two, Joe Biden didn't tell anybody. He's being heralded as this hero that, well, he did the right thing. He turned him over. He had him for 6 years. 6 years. Now, I've got a theory today, and this is why I do believe it is the beginning of the end for Joe Biden. And not because all of a sudden, the intel community, the alphabet agencies like the FBI, Merrick Garland at the DOJ, it's not like all of a sudden they've had an attack of conscience and they're going to do the right thing here. No, nay. I need to explain this to you. This is like when the mafia sanctions a hit on one of their own. Now, I don't know what it is, but I love mob movies. I love mob TV shows, The Sopranos, Goodfellas, of course, The Godfather 1 and 2. Not a big fan of 3. I even watched Stallone's new send-up, Tulsa King. There's something about that genre of movie and TV show that I like. I like it when it's authentic, and I like to know, kind of why they do what they do. What is it that makes this thing tick, and why is it that it never goes away? And it's just something that, as a side interest, it interests me. And I'm telling you, the party bosses, the people with the real power, they have decided Joe Biden is a liability. He gotta go. Now, Tucker Carlson raised an interesting point. Remember when Andrew Cuomo, governor of New York, was literally a rock star within the Democratic Party? I mean, he was on the rise, especially during COVID. He was doing his daily press briefings. He won an Emmy for it. And he talked to everybody kind of like a mob boss. Oh, like staying home, then get an essential job. When people were complaining like, hey, I'm a teacher, I can't go teach, or I can't do this. Like, get an essential job. What, stock shelves at Walmart? Because now all of a sudden that's the essential job. They can be open, but my school can't. He was so arrogant. He's just an absolute arrogant guy, and he gave off that vibe that he could do whatever he wanted, say whatever he wanted. In New York, he, under his regime, he passed all types of absolutely right-stripping legislation, right down to, abortions could be legal right up to the moment of birth, and thunderous applause when he signed that into law. And I was thinking about Democratic lawmakers this week think it is right-wing extremism that the House of Representatives passed what they call another assault on women's rights, that if a baby survives an abortion, the medical team must provide life-saving care to that child. And the left just thinks that is, they called it evil. They called saving the life of a baby evil. That tells you all you need to know about these people. Well, it thwarts the will of the mother. Well, you know what? At that point, the baby is out of her body, so it really is its own person at that point. You save that child's life and then don't ever let it near that murderous mother again. How's that for hyperbole? There would be a couple out there that would adopt and love that child. So, Andrew Cuomo was just this over the top, and then all of a sudden, out come the charges from women of inappropriate comments, and one after another after another. It became this steady drip, and eventually His own party turned on it. Remember, Andrew was going to ride it out. He was going to, I didn't do it, blah 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 blah. He had his buddy, his brother, over at CNN covering for him. That eventually cost his brother his job. Um, so the party bosses decided Andrew's all wrong for us. And what was wrong about him? Well, he's exactly what the Democrats have declared war on. He's white, he's male, and he is most definitely, confidently heterosexual. Those three things, and that mafia persona, I'm large and in charge, had to go. And now look what New York has got for a governor. She is the absolute. You talk about a twit with eyebrows. I mean, that is Governor Hochul, however it is that you say her name. I mean, she's so bad, she makes the governor of Michigan look good, Cruella Demented. And, it's just unbelievable. But that's where the Democratic Party is heading. This is what they're embracing. Joe Biden signed his death certificate when he decided, yeah, I'm going to run again. I'm going to run again. Now, understand, again, sometimes there are people who don't understand that they are a creation. And here's what I mean by that. Um, there are people who become prominent and known based on things they have done, based on great accomplishments that they have achieved. And people stand back and go, wow. And then there are people who everybody knows their name, but they're a creation. For example, a few years ago, everybody was talking about the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian, the Kardashians. And I started asking people, because I'd hear, especially young people, talk about, oh, the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian. And I would ask young people a simple question. Well, what did they do? Well, they're famous. Well, okay. What do? They like sing? They like actors? I mean, what is it that they've actually done? Do you know that one of the number one career choices that high schoolers are responding to, what do you want to do someday? Quote, social media influencer. Now look, I have a video blog, a channel on YouTube, a channel on Rumble. I do radio. But none of this influencing, I guess if that's what you call it, is my job. It's not my calling or destiny. I am a pastor. I am a full-time pastor. That's what I do. This just lets me have a venue and a place to share my opinions. But we now have this mindset that you just become famous because you're a creation. Joe Biden doesn't get it. He didn't accomplish, and he has never accomplished anything of any substantive value in his life. Even his own kids. I mean, Hunter, you're gonna lay claim that that's your legacy that carries on your name, Hunter. The dude walking around in his underwear, banging his dead brother's wife and getting stoned with her and making videos of it and leaving it on a laptop for the whole world to see. Hunter, who gets his no-show jobs to filter money to his dad so that other countries can have influence. So the party bosses have decided, Joe, we selected you to go against Trump because we didn't really need you to do anything except be an empty suit and parrot and parody what it is that we need said. And now that he's gotten the gig again, he's pale, male, and stale. I mean, let's just be there. And there's a part of this where he says, I don't even know what's in these files. He may not be lying. The guy can't remember what he had for breakfast this morning, let alone what might be in some files he's had in boxes for the past 6, 8 years. And I know there's all these questions, and I've gotten into who held these files? How did they get there? How many people who were quote non-classified certified touched them, saw them, etc. You know what? We're getting lost in all that stuff, and I know that's why some people have, they're just like, this isn't going to go anywhere. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And I'll tell you why. The party bosses made a decision last Friday night, not with when Kevin McCarthy became Speaker of the House. That was kind of a given that was going to happen. I think everybody stood back, including the liberals, and were amazed at how long the Freedom Caucus actually held out and the concessions they got out of Kevin McCarthy to become Speaker. That was a thing of beauty. But one of the worst political speeches ever given was given by Hakeem Jeffries. I mean, it was awful, and it was just a bunch of disjointed, catchphrases. And he went through the alphabet. We choose love. We choose justice. It was awful. But it was decided. Aha! There's Joe's replacement, or maybe Michelle Obama. But the point is, Joe is male, he's pale, he's white, and he's stale. They're going to take Joe Biden out. We'll suffer along with Kamala. Camilla thinks she's a hottie Harris. And then they're going to hand off the baton to somebody like Hakeem Jeffries. They want a person of color. And if they can get a person of color who's also of a different sexual orientation or whatever, they're all down with that too. My point is, Joe Biden made the mistake of thinking he was president, and now he got to go. Where did these files come from? There's one Democrat member of the House that's saying this is a setup. This is a setup, despite the fact Joe admits, yeah, these were in a box in my garage. I knew they were there. But my point is, all of a sudden now, these attorneys are turning them over. Why? I'll tell you why. They want Joe Biden caught, stopped. He's going to get the visit. He's going to go. He's going to get the visit. We're going to make him an offer he can't refuse. He's going to get a visit from the party bosses that are going to tell him, Joe, for the good of the party, you got to step down. And there's a twofold reason for doing this. Number one, they do want Joe gone at the top of the ticket. That's it. He's done, like an Andrew Cuomo, who eventually even the Emmys took back their Emmy and removed his name from any reference of ever having one. This was a guy who was a rock star, was going to take down Trump. They loved Andrew Cuomo, and a year later, he was out of a job. They're going to do this to Joe Biden. They want him gone at the top of the ticket. The idiot, the useful idiot has served his purpose. So he's gone, he's done. That's number one. Number two, once they take out Joe Biden over this classified documents issue, don't miss this. This then becomes their leverage to get the Republicans to go along with them on, see, we did this to one of ours. Because, and they'll cloak it in all that fake patriotic bullhawk that none of them mean. We did the right thing to save the republic and protect the Constitution by not letting Joe Biden get away with this, and he has taken the punishment. You got to do the right thing now with Donald Trump and draft legislation and make sure that because of what he did, he can never serve as president again. Bum, ba-dum, bum. Yes, this is the end of Joe Biden because this is the way they end Donald Trump. Now, to be honest, this is a theory, but as some of my friends would say, think about it. Just think about it.